What is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel and welcome to some obedience training talk. So, I get questions all the time. Why do I keep taking my dogs to obedience training? Why do I think classes are so important? Are they just misbehaved? What's wrong with my dogs? And really, that has absolutely nothing to do with why I'm so big on training for my dogs. So today we're going to talk about it, and I'm going to share 20 of the best pieces of advice, 20 of the best things that I have learned from doing training with my dogs. So if you are new to the channel, my name is Rachel and I am a golden retriever mom of 2. I have a 1.5-year-old golden named LARSEY and I have a 6-month-old golden named COBA. They are full-blood sisters from 2 different litters. So since getting LARSEY, she was the first dog my husband and I ever had. It was completely new to us. We were basically learning as we go, and shortly after we got her, that is when the quarantine situation happened. So she didn't actually receive any formal training until later in the game, but we were always really big on training her at home and doing what we could with her. Now, while I think that we did a really good job with both of our dogs so far, I do think that it's always important to get advice from experts and to train in different types of scenarios. So for me, taking my girls to training, it does not mean that my dogs were bad or they were difficult to train, because they both honestly are very smart. They learn really fast, but they can always be better. And for me, that is what I'm looking for when I am taking them to training. How can I make this even better? How can I make this even more effective? How can I be a better leader for them? And no matter how great your dog is, I promise there's always ways that you can make them even better. So the 20 different things in no particular order, starting at number 1, try not to use your dog's name if possible. Because I have 2 dogs, whenever I am training them at home, usually I have to say their name before a command so they know which dog I am talking to. But if you don't have more than 1 dog and you're training them separately, it is ideal to not use their name. Why? Because the more you consistently use their name, they're used to you constantly saying it. The more used to it they get, the less value that it holds, the less they're going to care, the less they're going to react. So when I trained my dogs to learn their name, we trained them when we say their name that they need to look at us. So whenever I keep saying their name 24/7, they're not just going to keep looking at me every 5 seconds. Number 2, emotions run up and down the leash. So whenever you're training your dog, you want to train your dog off leash, on leash, with the leash on the ground, inside, outside, with distractions, without distractions, all different types of scenarios. But one thing to keep in mind is that the emotion that you feel will run down the leash to the dog. The dog will be able to sense your emotions. So if you are really nervous, if you're really anxious, the dog is going to notice that. So my little one, COBA, just graduated from her school, and when we were taking our test, the test is on the trainer, the owner, and the dog, not just the dog. And because I was a little nervous in certain circumstances, COBA did not listen to me as well as she normally does because she was sensing my anxiousness. Which leads me to number 3. Always try to be as calm, confident, patient, assertive as you possibly can be when you're doing training. Trainers in general, if you notice, they're very calm, they're very patient. And for me, I am someone who has a very short fuse. I can get angry, I get very annoyed very quickly at just anything. And for me, if I'm training and we're working so hard and nothing is sticking with them, I get very upset or I get very annoyed very fast. And I've learned that whenever I am training, I have to work really hard to be able to control my emotions so that I am confident and calm for them. The more upset and angry that I get at them, the less they're going to listen to me. And it's not going to make for a very efficient or effective training session. Which leads me to number 4. If you get upset, if you're getting too frustrated, if you're getting too annoyed, whatever, stop. Stop what you're doing, because it's not going to be effective. Give yourself a break, give yourself some time, take a break, do something else, distract yourselves, and maybe come back to it later or at a different day. You're always going to have days that are better than other days. You have different situations, different things going on in your own personal life, and sometimes it can be very hard to separate that from your personal life to training life. Leading into number 5, your voice is the biggest, best most important tool that you have in your tool belt whenever it comes to training your dog. You might not always have treats on hand. You might always have a toy on hand. You might not always have something to give them and reward at all times, but you always have your voice. Now with that, going into number 6, the tone of your voice is so important. If I am telling my dogs to do something in a very casual way, they're likely not going to listen to me. However, if I say it in a more stern, more serious voice, more serious tone, they are much more likely to listen to me. When you are training your dog, you are not asking them to do something. You are telling them to do something. So I noticed when I was training previously, I was being way too kind with my words at times, and I needed to be much more stern. I needed to be the boss, and I needed to make it known that I'm the boss. Whenever I ask you to do something, you need to listen. You're not asking your dog, oh, please sit, sit please, can you please sit? No, you're telling your dog, sit. And it's not to be mean. It's not that you're being cruel to your dogs. It's just they have to learn to be able to listen to you. And in my situation, I want them to be able to listen to me no matter what the situation is, because I am in charge of their safety, I am in charge of their life, and I need to always make sure that they are safe and protected. The 8th thing, another really helpful piece of advice that I have learned is the 1, 2, 3 rule. Not consistently just asking your dog to do something, trying to tell your dog to do something. You're giving your dog chances to do so. So basically, the first time you ask your dog to do something, if they do it, great, reward them. If they don't do it, tell them a second time. If they do it, great, reward them. The 3rd time, if you have to ask them 3 times and they still don't do it, gently make them do whatever it is that you're trying to make them do, no reward. This is what stops the sit, 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 because if you are just constantly saying the same thing over and over again, in your dog's mind, your dog hears, oh, okay, well mom wants me to sit, but she's also gonna say it like 20 more times. They don't really have to sit quite yet. That's not what you want your dog to think. You want your dog to know that when you ask them to do something, they need to do it. That way they also know, okay, if I don't do this, mom's just going to make me do it anyways, so I might as well just do it. Number 9. This was a eye-opening one for me, something that I knew, but I guess I just never really thought of. When it comes to your relationship with your dog, dogs, whatever, you can either be the pack leader, the pack friend, or the pack follower. It's not what you think you are, it's what your dog sees you as. So if your dog sees you as the pack follower, in their mind, they're the human, they're the boss, they rule this house, they're not going to listen to you. If in your dog's mind, you are the pack friend, you are equals. You're both human, you're on the same page, you abide by the same rules. However, if that dog sees you as the pack leader, they know that you're the boss, you're in charge, they're the dog, they are not human, and they need to listen to you. So for me, I admit I am much more of the pack friend than the pack leader. My husband is much more of the pack leader. He always has been, and it always frustrated me that the girls always listened to him more than they would listen to me. And the more that we worked on this, the more that I learned this, the more that I understood that the reason why they listened to my husband so much more and always have is because they viewed him as the pack leader. He made it very clear from the time we brought them both home that he was the boss, he's the pack leader. I'm more of the softie, I have more of the soft spot for them, and they know it. So I am working on becoming more assertive and more of the pack leader for them so that they realize that I am their boss. I will love them, I would take care of them, and they are my babies, they're my entire world, but I'm the boss, they have to listen to me. Number 10, controlling the head is key. If you're able to control the head, you are able to get better obedience with your dog. Whether you are walking, whether you are trying to do a command, the more you're able to control your dog's head, the better results you are going to have. Now with this, there are several different tools. There's all different types of collars, there's all different types of harnesses, there's all different types of leads, types of leashes. Depending on what you need, depending on what you want, there is a source for you. For example, whenever you are training your dog, ideally you want them to train on a collar versus a harness because you're going to have more control of the head. Whenever I am walking LARSEY, especially, she loves to pull, which is why I use a tool to help me walk her better, such as the Easy Walk harness. I also recently bought the Star Mark collar, which is helpful whenever I'm getting them to heel. They are much less likely to pull in a heel because it is more uncomfortable than just listening and doing what they're told. I also got a vibrating collar. It does have a shock feature to it, which I'm not interested in using, but I did want the vibration on a collar because I'm working on dealing with barking with COBA. COBA loves people just as much as LARSEY, but she barks and goes crazy barking when she sees people and dogs and gets really excited and wants to make sure that they see her. So working on the barking, having something that I can use with distance is much more helpful for me than something that is close up. Positive reinforcement is definitely something I always strive to do, but if that's not always working, find a tool to help you. Number 12, control their food. This is a great way for your dog to learn that you are in fact the boss, you are the leader, and if you're controlling their food, they know that they are going to get fed at certain times of the day. If you are free feeding your dog and letting them eat whenever they choose, that is giving them independence, and that can cause a little bit of a gray area where your dog might think that they are more of the boss, more of the leader than they actually are. Number 13, if you have more than one dog, train them separately. Now, as a dog mom of 2, this is very difficult at times and obviously much more time consuming. Now, because my girls are just over a year apart in age, they are at different levels as far as obedience goes. There are certain things that I can train them with together as long as they are on the same level of obedience. However, there's certain aspects that they are on totally different levels of, aka walking. So I do walk the girls together at times, and I do walk them separately. So if I'm working on training them, or if I know that there's going to be people around, it is so much easier, so much more effective for me to walk them separately. Because with COBA, like I said, I'm having to work on her barking, I'm having to work on her jumping. It is so much easier for me to focus on how to train that and fix that than to have to worry about that and then also worry about walking LARSEY on the other hand at the same time. 14. What you get at training and what you get at home is 2 different things. When I am taking my girls to obedience class, for example, the one that COBA just graduated from, COBA didn't really learn anything that she didn't already know how to do, but the point of us going was to learn how to do it in front of other people, how to do it more effectively, because she's great at listening at home, but when we're around other people, when we're in public, she listens not as well. And that's the same thing for LARSEY. So having to physically do everything in front of people, having to learn how to be calm and relaxed and self-soothe in a room full of people and other dogs who also want to play and are also excited, that takes a lot of work, that takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of patience, and that's not something that I can just teach her on my own at home. If I can get a 20, 30, 40 foot sit stay at home, I'm probably not going to get that big of a distance when I am in public with other people. Now, with that being said, number 15, I learned just how much dog training is not just about what your dog does, but it's also so much about what you do. Like I said, the tone of your voice, the way you say things, how you respond to your dog when they do something right, when they do something wrong, that's half the battle. You can have the smartest dog in the entire world, but if you're not a firm, stern trainer, you're not going to get the best results. I really learned how I have to be as their mom, as their guardian, as their parent, in order for them to be as obedient as I possibly can get them to be. So again, obedience class is not just about training your dog, it's also training yourself as to how you need to be with your dogs. For me, when you get a dog, when I got my dogs, it's something that I chose. I took on this role, I asked for this role, and I know that the girls only have so long to live. Your dog only has so long to be here. You chose them, they did not choose you. So it is your responsibility to make them as safe, happy, healthy, whatever as possible. So during this time, it's your duty to make them a well-behaved dog. It's your duty to make sure that they are always safe. And a lot of safety comes with being obedient, being able to listen to you no matter what. So in my opinion, it's your job to give them the best life that they ever could possibly have. And that is why I'm so extra with my dogs, because I know they only have so long here, and I want to make sure that I do everything I absolutely can to make sure that they have the best life they ever could possibly have. Number 16, whenever you are training, don't get lazy. Don't forget to pay your dog. If your dog is doing something great, if they're doing what you want them to do, pay your dog. Especially when you first get your dog and you notice them doing little different things around the house that you like, reward that behavior. Constantly, consistently reward your dog for the behaviors that you like to see so that they're more likely to keep doing it. Moving to 17, how do you pay your dog? Again, you can pay your dog in verbal praise, which is the most powerful tool that you have. You can pay them in treats. You can pay them with a toy. Whatever motivates your dog, that's how you pay your dog. Ideally, when you're still training, if they're learning something new, when they're younger, pay in treats, but hopefully not always. Because you don't want to get to the point where you're telling your dog to do something, they don't see that you have treats, so they're not going to do it. Like, yeah, mom wants me to do this, but she doesn't have any treats, so I'm not doing it. 18, be consistent. Your training has to be consistent across the board. This was a little hard for me to incorporate into mine and my husband's life because, for example, when we come home, we loved the fact that the girls were so excited to see us and they got all crazy and oh my gosh, like we're so excited to see them, they're so excited to see you. But the problem that we have is that now when they see all humans, that's how they act because we rewarded them for acting that way when they saw us. So in their mind, it just clicked that that's how they're supposed to act when they see people. So now we have to try really hard to reverse that. Even though we don't care and we like that, that doesn't mean that everyone else is going to like that. And you know, it's not like a human where they realize, okay, in certain situations, this is what I do. It's if I do this now, this is what I'm supposed to do always. Dogs aren't able to differentiate the two as easily as we humans are. So we had to really start working on making sure when we get home and the dogs greet us, the dogs always have to stay down. They can be excited, they can do their little excited growl, they can shake their butt, but they have to stay down. And as a little bonus here, I just want to mention, it is so insane to me that strangers, people in general, think that it's okay to just go up and pet your dog without even approaching you and asking you about it first. I don't have an issue with people wanting to pet my dog or oh my gosh, you're so cute, that's fine. But my issue is you are just going straight up to them and rewarding them for whatever behavior they're giving you. That is very stressful for me and it is not helping them at all. If the dog that you're trying to greet is jumping up and freaking out and not giving you the type of behavior that their owner wants to see, you're rewarding bad behavior, which makes a little digression in the training that we're working so hard to get. So please, when you see dogs out in public, don't just go up to them and assume it's okay to pet them and get crazy. When you see someone's baby, you don't just go up to them and start petting them and rubbing their arm. I mean, I hope to gosh that's not a thing. So why is it just assume that it's okay to do that to someone's dog? Anyways, rant over. On to 19. This isn't really something that I didn't know, but it's something that I think is really important to include in this video, and that is lack of exercise results in destructive behavior. If you are not exercising your dog enough and your dog is getting super crazy and wild and starting to destroy things around the house, they're bored. It's like a child when a toddler gets bored in the house, they're gonna start going wild. So a dog is the same way. You need to give your dog exercise. They need to have that mental stimulation, that physical stimulation. And number 20, this is something that I definitely had to learn the hard way and am always trying to work on because just like all of you, I'm also not a perfect dog parent. And that is, don't coddle your baby. I can't tell you how many times the girls would get upset or scared or whatever, and my motherly instinct is like, oh my gosh, like they're okay, you're fine. Hug them, coddle them, baby them. Unfortunately, that behavior to dogs does not relay the same way that it does from human to human. So when you are coddling a dog, they are taking that as a reward for that type of behavior. So if your dog is, for example, let's say scared of the garbage truck, and when the garbage truck drives by, your dog starts going freaking crazy and haywire, and you're over there hugging them and, oh, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. They are thinking that you're rewarding them for that behavior, so they'll continue to do so. Oh, okay, so this is what I'm supposed to be doing when this happens. It's, you're fine, you're brave. So while you want to obviously make sure that your dog is okay, do your best to not coddle them, don't baby them, because that, again, just like jumping on them when they're not supposed to and you still pet them, that's rewarding them for bad behavior even if you don't intend to. And those are 20 of the biggest things that obedience training has taught me. So even if you know some of these things, until you actually go through it and experience it and do it yourself, I feel like you don't really know anything until you experience it. I just think that there's always something to learn. I've learned so many different things from all the different types of trainers that we've got. They all train very, very different, and I just think it's really nice to get a variety of opinions and different types of people to kind of figure out which way you kind of lean towards more, so that way you can find out what kind of trainer, what kind of parent you want to be to your own dog, so what kind of fits your lifestyle best. So I hope that that was helpful. If it was, like always, let me know by hitting the thumbs up button. If you're not already, please subscribe to the channel. If that button down below is red, please make sure you push it. If you're not already, please make sure to follow these beautiful babies on Instagram. And as always, we will see you guys in our next video. Bye guys!